Jada's lying, and I have the timeline to prove it. Jada is currently on her Pay Attention to Me tour, and she is making all these wild claims, including that Tupac proposed to her while he was at Rikers. Really? The math isn't mathing, so let's take a look. Tupac was convicted of sexual assault charges on February 8th, 1995. From there, he was sent to Rikers Prison, only to be transferred less than a month later to Clinton Correctional Facility. And she specifically said she went to see him. This was not on the phone.
Book when I go to see him in Rikers, probably one of the more painful parts, seeing him there, the condition that he was in, and having to leave him there.
Cool. So prior to going into Rikers, Tupac already had a girlfriend named Keisha. He proposed to Keisha, her words, in a September 2011 interview. He proposed to Keisha before he even went into prison. They were already engaged. They got married in April. And in the time that he got sentenced and was taken to prison, Keisha actually moved closer to be by him and be by the prison and saw him on a near daily basis.
When he asked me to get married, he was at Rikers.
So you're telling me that in the 3 to 4 week window that he was at Rikers, engaged to another woman who had moved closer to the prison and was there almost every day, Tupac proposed to Jada. But hey, Jess, you might be saying to yourself, Tupac wasn't known to be a one-woman man. He was no angel. Fair enough. Let's see where Jada was during February of 1995, which was, as we've already established, the only time she would have been able to see Tupac at Rikers since he was only there for less than a month. You see, Jada had already met Will Smith in 1994 on the set of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but Will Smith was married, and so nothing happened between them. But in February of 1995, Will Smith was served divorce papers by his wife. 5 days later, on February 19th, Will called Jada and said, "Are you single?" And she said, "Yep." Will said, "We're together now." Jada said, "Cool." And she immediately flew to LA. She flew so immediately that when he called her, she was in Maryland at a brand new house she bought. And she never spent a single night in her new house. That's how immediately she flew to LA. Jada, when in all that time did you visit Tupac at Rikers and get this fucking proposal? And for the record, Keisha and Tupac stayed married for about 10 months. They got their marriage annulled about 4 or 5 months after Tupac was released from prison. He was bailed out by Suge Knight. It wasn't long after that he met Jada Jones. Jada Jones is the daughter of legendary Quincy Jones. Jada looks a little recognizable. You may know her sister, Rashida Jones, who played Karen on The Office. Jada and Tupac were living together and engaged when Tupac was shot and killed. Jada was the one that was there with him at the hospital the night he died. Jada was handed his bloody clothes. She was the one who told him, "We all love you," before he slipped into a coma and never woke up. Keisha spoke with Tupac several days before he died because even though their marriage was annulled, they still remained good friends. And I can't help but notice that all of the women who are actually part of his life in a meaningful way are the ones that have just kept quiet. They've kept silent. They've kept their memories to themselves and not tried to use a dead man as their limelight. And the person who's squawking about him the most is making claims that can't even be verified and don't make sense from the perspective of a verifiable timeline.
So many people in that position don't have support.
Right.
None at all.
None. You know?
And you got the best.
Was it the right thing to reveal, to talk about everything? Do you feel like you made the right choice?
Absolutely. I think at some point, I had to talk about my journey, And I think, just like we were talking about, I think there's so many of us who, hold so much, specifically women, and feeling like we're going to be criticized, we're going to be
can't say anything.
judged. You can't.
She belongs to the street.
The beautiful part about it is like this whole journey, as difficult as it's been, has just brought Will and I closer in such an authentic way. Instead of trying to be a thing, it's like just tearing all that down and finding what's true between us.
We don't give a fuck! Jesus! We don't give a fuck!
Wow.
And it's been beautiful. It's been difficult.
It's been difficult.
But beautiful.
Because one thing people were really still concerned about or confused about really was, okay, hang on. They've been divorced in theory, but not on paper.
Yes.
They were not together, but kind of pretended they were together. So I had trouble articulating exactly why that was. So
I'm in a bind, Nate.
We really needed time to get solidified because at the end of the day, Will and I love each other. You know, we had to really figure out what we wanted before we went into the world to say what was going on, because we were in such, you know, we were just kind of in this very fragile place. And so now we're just super solid. Yeah. And so now I can actually talk about what the journey has been.
Look, if you don't like working for Luther's janitorial, why don't you just take your broke ass home? Otherwise, shut the fuck up and get back to work.
Hey, you know, you one cold-hearted motherfucker, Luther.
Get back to work.
Luther, you ain't have to talk to her like that.
Get back to work.
So Will talked to the New York Times, or gave a statement, and this is what he says. We'll put it up on the screen. This is from the Times itself. The memoir, Will Smith said in an email, kind of woke him up. She'd lived the life more on the edge than he had realized, and that she is more resilient, clever, and compassionate than he'd understood. And this is the quote. When you've been with someone for more than half your life, he wrote, a sort of an emotional blindness sets in, and all you can do, and you can all too easily lose your sensitivity to their hidden nuances and subtle beauties. It sounds like an emotional blindness, he didn't see you. Is that kind of what it was, that he...
I think, yeah, that's so universal in relationships. He didn't see me and I didn't see him. Right? Yeah. And so we kind of had to go our separate ways to see each other, you know? Because when you're in a relationship and you're kind of just pulling at that person to be something for you, you refuse to see them. And so we had to go our separate ways to really look at ourselves and see the blocks that we had in order to find a way back.
We don't give a fuck! Jesus! We don't give a fuck!
You felt like you were not, your kids would have been better off, Will would have been better off, everyone would have been better off without you. Yeah. What did your kids think when they saw that part of your story told in that way?
Well, I've talked to them about it. Like,
so they know.
Yeah, they knew. You know, they knew before the interview came out. But I was talking to my mother the other day, and everybody knew that I was very unhappy, but just couldn't figure out why.
Together.
We are working very hard at bringing our bringing our relationship together.
Back to a marriage again.
Back to a life partnership. Yes, because here's the thing about husband-wife marriage for me, for my healing process.
We don't give a fuck! Jesus! We don't give a fuck!
Painful. You know, yours is not it's not a happy story. Right. But I do want to start out as your mama. Right. To clarify some things, because I'm a little tired of all the vitriol being thrown your way. I'm sick of it. Right. And I just want to say that, you know, when you guys decided to separate, okay, that was a decision that both of you made. You're both separated. You did not cheat on Will. Right. You're both parties are living their lives, both. Okay, so it's not just you. Right. And I need to make that really clear. Right. Because I'm a little sick of that foolishness. I got you, Gam. I understand. All right. I understand. I love Will to death. You know, he's my guy. He's you know, right. We are family. And I think the other thing that people need to be clear about is that this is not a tell-all. Yeah. Right. You know, this is not what this book is about. And you talk about how originally you wanted to name the book Unlovable. Yeah, I did. Wow. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, just the pain of that. You know what I mean? Well, and
I didn't want to name it Unlovable because it was like Unlovable being the start of my journey, and that I feel like so many of us feel that way.
Right. But that's what the book is about. It's about the journey
through unlovableness.
Right.
Yeah.
From
Me
being
feeling
unlovable to now feeling worthy.
Yeah.
And what it takes to get there. Because
To write the book, right? I wanted to write the book because I just wanted to really show the journey that I was on, like what it took for me to get to a place of self-worth.
I was reading this book, Emotionally Immature Parents.
Ooh.
And I was like, Jane, you got to read this book. Your mother has been an emotionally immature parent, right? I said, you got to read this book. And he said, you know what, Ma? He said, things from afar can look a certain way. But when you put a microscope up on something and you look at it close up, he was like, it is such a weird shape. Weird, beautiful shapes of things, but you get to see the intricacies of it, and it's so much more. And that's what you are to me. You're like this beautiful, intricate organism that I love so much. Don't ever apologize to me again.
Oh, you think it's funny, bitch? This is pimping here. I've been on Wheel of Fortune, Price is Right. Oh, it's just funny. Come on with it.
I wanted to make this Jada Pinkett video. She just went on today's newscast and just got done doing a whole little segment. You know, she's going on the campaign. The only reason I think that she went on today is because her mother checked her ass yesterday. You know, I put that clip up in here that her mother checked her and said, you know, a lot of women aren't going to buy your book with all this negative publicity against you and your husband. You have to go and act like you still love your husband. You got to go and act like you still want your husband. You got to go on today and clarify that. So if anybody's seen that video, it's from her mother checking her ass, telling her that a lot of women that's married they're going to buy your book. The ratchets aren't going to buy your book, right? The ratchets aren't going to buy your book. Only married women are going to buy your book. So you need the people that's going to buy your book to buy your book. The way you got to say it is you love your husband. You're trying to work it out so people could feel relatable to you. Nobody feels relatable to a woman that's a witch like this. That's constantly having her husband being put through all kind of degrading things over the damn internet and over news feeds. Now, her mom checked her ass yesterday. She turned around and went on Today's show, newscast today. So, I mean, it makes complete sense to me. You got to watch what's going on, you know. You got to watch what these people are doing. They're really just trying to reach in your pocket. I don't know what's going on with these Hollywood types to feel like they always got to get more of a bag. Maybe she's trying to be a bestseller. Maybe she's trying to move up into the author world or something. Maybe she's trying to do books now. Who knows? But this woman is doing damage control. And that's all this is. It's damage control. Nobody's going to buy your damn book if you're constantly talking crazy about your husband. They are, but they're going to be tabloid people. You want normal people to buy your book. You have to seem relatable. You're not relatable, Jada, when you're fucking around with August and everybody else. You're not relatable. So she did damage control when she's doing this. Her book is released tomorrow. So she's got to do all the damage control she can to make her seem like a relatable person. Nobody relates to this woman while she's fucking on her fucking son's homie. I don't even know if they homies no more, but I guess she just used that for whatever little thing she wanted. But hey, you know, like, comment, subscribe. I just wanted to throw this compilation out there. And she keeps on speaking on Pac. Who the fuck knows? Who cares by this? It's 30 years later. God damn, shut up, lady. Let the man rest in peace. You know, but hey, like, comment, subscribe, man.